Alright, yeah, my teachers always told me I'd never amount to nothing. And they may have been right, that's why I jump on a mic every night. 'Cause when I jump on the mic, that's how I know that I'ma be alright. Well, I'ma be alright.
Welcome back everyone to another episode of Coffee and Whiteboard Markers. Joining my co-host, Matty Bissett.
Hello.
I'm Miles O'Kane, looking forward to taking you all along for the ride. My man, perfect timing for this episode, just coming to the end of an 11-week term. Do you think over nearly 2 decades, I can't, 11-week terms just crucify me. Like, it's brutal, man. And it's just that extra week in your head, it goes, it's not going to make much of a difference. Then you get to week 6 or week 7, this is nuts.
Yep, and you've also got the last week is just full of just feral kids. They're tired.
Absolutely.
They're just over it. They're like, why are we here? It's horrible.
You know what fascinates me? So we have, most schools have their most assessments done by week 8, term 2, yeah? So something like us, schools that I've worked at, including the one now, I don't see kids from like week 2 of the term, but then Monday, week 9, they're back. And I haven't said anything, haven't seen them, but they get either set whatever their social media groups or they sense it in the air, man. And they come and they're just there to party and turn it on.
And that's all it is. And then they come in, they social, they cause a ruckus, they get no work done, and then they just leave again.
Here's the 15 assessments you missed. Get into it right now. Yeah, it's brutal, man. I get fascinated how those rock up, man. It's like a intuition or a sixth sense.
What makes me laugh is when you've got a 9-week term, it's only one less week. It feels like you're finishing in week 6.
It's a sprint.
You have zero time.
It's a sprint
to get anything done. And then the following term, it's 11 weeks. You're like, man, this is exhausting.
So what's your preferred split? 9-11 or 10 and 10? Mine's 10 and 10, but I think that mine is 10 and 10 because I'm so used to it. But I think like that 9 is too fast and the 11's too long, even though it's just an extra week either side.
I would probably go, if I could choose, 10 and 10 with some like changes. So 10-week long term, but just a few little changes along the way.
I feel like you're preluding to something in this episode, Matthew. Is there something coming up? I think you're right. I think we're talking about it off air. I think I think you're right. There needs to be some changes going across. But yeah, man, like it's the 11 weeks.
It's just too long. Especially in a reporting term.
Yeah.
So you try to get all your assessment done by probably week 7.
Yep.
And when you've got a 10-week term, assessment needs to be done by week 7, reports done by the end of week 8, admin reads them, then they're back to you by week 9, and then they're out in week 10. When you've got an extra week, some teachers aren't assessing until the end of week 9. Like, how can you assess in week 9 when your reports are due in week 8?
The magical test that summarises everything about the student. Some teaching practices, some personal teaching practices aren't the best out there.
No, 11 weeks is way too long, and 9 weeks is... I think if you were used to having 9-week terms, like if it was only you're used to just 9-week terms, if you had 4 9-week terms, you probably wouldn't be sprinting as much because you'd be able to change your planning and get in that routine. But having one every 3 years and then another 11...
It throws the momentum off.
You're like, huh? And then there's an 11-week term that then throws you... That's half a year of your momentum.
Yeah, and especially if you're coming into a short-term one where you just had 6 weeks off and you're all energized, ready to go, and you jump out of the gate and you're back into it.
Yeah.
Well, then the last thing I'm going to say on that, me, being the head of math, bought into the school I'm at now and it's done throughout the schools as well, but we start semester 2 in like week 9. So being that, we're still teaching curriculum.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I try to do the first assessment for semester 2, week 10.
Yeah.
But then you're fighting all the excursions that kids are going on week 10, and then the reward excursion, kids aren't coming to school.
Yeah.
So I might have to talk to myself off air and figure out whether that's worth pursuing still. Upper school obviously is good because it's supposed to mimic the upper school and how they do it. And then meaning that, in theory, all assessments should be done by week 5, week 6, term 4. So those last few weeks, you can just prepare students, like year 10 students for year 11, without assessing them and stuff. Yeah. And for the following,
it sort of makes sense, I guess. But at the other time, if you've got a 11-week term. Good luck doing that in week 11.
Yeah, like I was hated by my teachers. No, that was fine. But like I was sitting there myself going, "This probably I need to look at this. I've been doing it for 6 years now. Pros and
Well,
cons.
practices do need the change with...
Reflection's a beautiful thing.
that's it, with current information. Miles?
The live feedback put me in my place. Look, so the whole point of the introduction preamble is to get to this point here. So today's focus, we want to look at should school terms be shorter. Now, there was a Perth school in the news a couple of weeks ago. High school, we won't name them for whatever reasons, but they were, and I only skimmed the research, so if I'm misquoting this, I do apologise. But basically, the crux of it was that this school proposed that instead of having 10-week terms, we should drop down to 9-week terms, meaning that you have extra, so a week extra holidays, they'll be added on, and then a week less during the term.
Was that a private school?
Oh, I will not comment on this, Matthew, and you cannot draw it out of me.
I don't know. I don't want to know the name, but because I know some private schools
Do start later
Yeah, they have
and finish earlier.
Yeah, they have I think it's term 2 and term 4 maybe. I don't think it's every term, but they finish a week earlier than us. And sometimes, like around Christmas time, we might finish a week before. They finish in like December 10.
Yes.
Some of those private schools.
This school wasn't a private school.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it was their proposal for the reduction by a week in the term was so they're looking at teacher workload increased significantly, student behaviour is becoming more challenging, staff wellbeing is declining, burnout and retention are growing concerns, more frequent breaks may improve performance for staff and students. Apologies, just reading that off. So I think by reducing it by a week, it was supposed to help with those factors. As I was saying to you, when I first read it, I thought they were proposing 4-day working weeks, and that way reducing there as well. So
I think that the 4-day work week would probably be better than 9-week terms.
So what's your reasoning behind that?
Because out of all of the countries that have introduced a 4-day work week, now obviously it's not in education, it's in accounting and all that type of
the workforce.
Yeah. So productivity has actually increased by 300%.
Since the COVID and working from home and stuff?
No, since dropping to 4 days.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Because the work-life balance is then swinging more to the life balance. So people are a lot more productive in their 4 days. Because if they don't get their work done, they have to come in on the 5th day. So instead of taking 15 coffee breaks, going for a big long walk, chatting around the water cooler, whatever they used to do.
Get in, get out.
Just get in, do your work, and then you leave.
I'm a fan of that.
So I think if
same hours? Same hours, just in...
Same hours?
Yeah.
But obviously in a high school or in a primary school, probably more high school, you'd have to change your timetables because you're going to basically drop a day.
Yeah.
So instead of having 60-minute long lessons,
so
which I think...
560s, which is 300 minutes, if you did something like 740s, 280 minutes, and then find 20 minutes there. So it's trying to...
just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So because I feel 60 minutes for a lesson is ridiculously long.
I agree.
It's just way too long. You could literally do 2 whole lessons in that 60 minutes.
With today's attention spans, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think 45 minutes are gold. For me, 45 minutes is the golden...
Yeah. So then if you drop all your lessons Monday to Thursday, I just drop Friday because it's easier to remember.
Yeah.
If you drop them from 60, because some schools have 65-minute lessons.
A school I worked at when I came back from the country had 80-minute lessons.
Oh.
But so I think Wednesday was single lessons. Everything else was double. Which if you're teaching PE or shop or something, metalwork, absolutely. You're teaching year 9 maths.
Or English.
And anything that's not physical.
Imagine on an 80-minute HASS lesson.
Yeah, man, it was brutal. And it wasn't like a high-flying academic school. It was
poor HASS
tough students, mate. Yeah, it was brutal. But I agree, man. It's even where I'm 60 minutes, I think it's the standard across most public schools in Australia. It's still too much.
If you drop that to 45 minutes, you get a couple more periods in your Monday to Thursday. And then on the Friday, teachers then have the option to either work from home and do their marking, their planning. It's still a work day.
Yeah.
It's not an extra day off.
Yep.
But then that workload can be distributed over a day instead of having to do it at night time on the weekend, all that type of stuff. So I think that for me personally, having a 9-week term, I don't know if I would like extra 3 weeks of holiday.
So 9-week term, 5 days. You're going for 10 weeks, 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because you're still getting that Friday work, but if you live a long way from work, you don't have to worry about the commute that day. You can, do your work at home, maybe finish it all up, go to a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay $140 because you have to go outside work hours.
Yeah.
School hours. So, but then the flip side of that is, what do you do with the kids?
So that. Sorry, mate. I didn't like yourself. Didn't sleep much last night with the toddler. So you're saying say we're working off 6-hour days, so you lose a Friday 6 hours, and you just distribute the rest of the time across the other days. Yeah. Okay.
But you don't on that Friday. You have an hour worth of break times, recess and lunch. So you don't have to increase that. You only have to find a spot for 5 subjects.
Yeah.
Across those 4 days.
I think this is yeah. Well, and I might hopefully. I think teachers get paid pretty well. I don't think it's just I like money. I like getting paid more, but I don't think to keep retaining teachers at the moment, I don't think you need to keep throwing money at them. But in saying that stuff, you can work around. I think it's important to work around this kind of stuff. So how can you do better working conditions, lifestyle?
Pre-COVID, everyone was like, just give me more money. Give me more money. But now, you are right. Teachers do get paid pretty well. We get a lot of holidays. But also, we have to work. We don't have... Our work hours aren't just the kids' hours.
Yeah. The invisible workload.
The invisible load is huge. You're looking at... Depends on how organised you are, the type of classes you teach.
How experienced you are.
You might be looking at... You get to work at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You leave at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of time before school to set your lessons up. After school, same thing. Maybe do a bit of marking.
Yeah.
And then most of those teachers will do another hour or 2 hours, depends on time of year and subject you teach, at home 5 days a week. And then you work on the weekends.
I was reading somewhere, something came across my social media a year or so back, saying that, and don't quote me on this, that they're at the moment, the average hours per week for a teacher is over 50, between 50 and 55.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be surprised about. And I think, us being more seasoned teachers, you learn where to focus your time. But yeah, if I was coming as a new teacher now, because everything's just thrown at you, and because there's such a undersupply of teachers, everything's just Band-Aid effects, it feels like, and you're trying to catch up more and more and more.
But also, you've
take
got
on
those
more work.
50, 55 hours of work time. That doesn't include travel time.
Yeah.
Some teachers have to travel an hour to and from work.
Yeah.
That's over an extra work day a week traveling to work. If you drive 55 minutes an hour each way, it's 2 hours a day, it's 10 hours a week. Longer than a work day.
Would you say you're a big fan of travelling to work?
I hate it. Everyone that knows me knows that that's a very big topic for me at the moment.
but right? I think it's to get more teachers in the profession and retain teachers. It'd be nice if this stuff has been looked at.
You need to look at, so definitely post-COVID, things aren't all about money. It's about work-life balance.
Yeah.
And yes, having a 9-week term increases your work-life balance. But does it really? Because that 9 weeks, you're going to be absolutely, full throttle, pedal to the metal, trying to get everything done in 9 weeks. But if you had a 10-week term, you drop a day where you can do your planning, you can do your marking, your whatever you need to do.
So non-contact time, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you could do it at work. If you live close to work, you could do it from home. Then that's that work-life balance that people are chasing.
Yeah.
If you think about, I know probably 15, 20 people that have jobs that are hybrid jobs where they work at home and at work. So obviously being a teacher, you can't do that because we have kids and things like that we have to teach. But if you can figure out a way that, I don't know, even if you let teachers start their dot from home a couple of days a week, so they don't have to rush you, be in rat race. And, there's lots of different, it's just about changing your timetable.
I worked at one school that had off-campus time because they start early and finish later. So I might have been there to 4 some days.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't start till midday another day, which was awesome at the time because you can go and get stuff done that morning that you need to outside of school.
But I look at it like, other things, and yes, lots of other professions have the same problem when you have to work office hours.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to get your car serviced, you have a day off work because you got to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Kids, hospital appointments and stuff.
All that stuff. So if you had your one work from home day, you could drop your car off, get an Uber home, do a bit of work, go get your car, come back, and then you don't have to worry about,
relief planning, getting instructions out.
But it just it'll take a bit of time to get used to.
Yeah.
And it will take a school or a principal or an admin person that have to sit down, reshuffle their timetables.
Yeah.
I don't think teachers would have a big issue with it. There would be some. Definitely the older, more established teachers that have their pick up. I have week 1, term 1 already sorted. This is what we do. I don't want to change that. There will be some, people who don't want to do it. And there's also what happens to the kids on that Friday. But, the kids who, they're teachers who have kids, they'll be at home.
Well, I think you're right. Any new initiative is going to have pros and cons to it. When I was putting this episode together, I was kind of curious where does Australia sit in the world in terms of sort of typical school day and hours per year and stuff. So working on this, at the moment, Australia is 6 to 6.5, and looking at a public school, 6 and 6.5 hours per day.
Yep.
40 weeks per year, just under 12 weeks holidays, 4 terms. And then 6 weeks, Now, if we compare that to...
So 6 weeks is the long holiday?
Is a long holiday for our summer. Yep. Now, if we compare this to United Kingdom and United States, they've both got similar hours to us per day. America's slightly higher. Weeks per year is England's... UK's 39. States is between 36 and 38. Now, the UK does, instead of terms, they do... Instead of 4 terms, they've got 3 terms, then term breaks. Whereas America seems to have between 10 and 12 weeks, depending on what states you're working in. So those 3 there, so Australia,
I guess
UK...
that would have a lot to do with the weather as well.
And America, all pretty similar.
Yeah.
Now, if we take that over to Denmark and Finland, so since I've started teaching in terms of a holistic student approach, they've always been the gold standard. Denmark...
Germany's pretty good now as well.
Is it? Okay. So Denmark and Finland both have between 5 and 6 hours of school days. The weeks per year are around 38 to 40. Holidays per year, Denmark's got 12, Finland's up to 14. 2 semesters, and then Finland Denmark's got similar holidays to Australia, and then Finland's got 10 to 11 weeks. Now, if we compare that to China and Japan, China's typical school day is between 7 and 8 hours, up to 42 weeks a year, up to 12 weeks holidays, 2 semesters, 6 to 8 weeks over summer. Japan, up to 7 hours a day, 44 weeks per year, holidays 9 weeks and 3 terms. Now, the final point I want to bring up is if we go across each of these countries, the workload feel, and again, I don't know how big the sample space was, whatever, each of these, but Australia's got a high workload feel for teaching, United Kingdom very high, United States high, China very high, Denmark and Finland both moderate, and Japan is high, which is interesting. So I guess the point being there is that if you compare Finland and Denmark, which have the lowest school hours... Can
I also just add something about those 2 countries?
Yeah.
They also have very small class sizes.
Yeah.
And they also start school later.
In terms of age?
Yep.
Yeah.
And what happens is their daycare centres are run basically by 4-year trained teachers. So when the kids are at daycare... they're learning their native language and all of the, phonemic awareness, all that type of stuff. So when they get to school and they start school at, I want to say it was 7.
Okay, yeah.
They're actually coming in with a ridiculously high level of oral language based around a play-based curriculum because they learn it in a daycare setting.
Right.
So then when they come in, they start academically way ahead of our kids,
Right.
who have literally had 2 formal years of schooling and kindy and daycare, depending on the child.
Because this teacher skill set not as specialised?
It's different.
Yeah, right.
Because kids here, you've got...
It might have been all of them, but it was either Denmark, Finland or Norway. We need to have a master's degree for teaching, and they try to bring that in Australia as go, we'll follow this system.
I think it was Finland, but then I looked into that, and it's your pay reflects the amount of education you have.
Right.
I think Canada has the same similar thing.
Yeah.
So...
And their equivalent ATARs are really high to get in as well, I think. Right.
So, but they're systems that have been from the get-go. So when, I want to say it's Denmark, when people become new parents for the first time, or even the 8th time, they're not given money. They're given a baby box that has clothes, a cot, all this type of stuff to set. So it's a very different setting and system to start with.
Right.
But that's also why the kids there come out with such better results, because the entire early learning is all about oral language.
In the Scandinavian countries. It was also a few years back, because being a math teacher, Singapore and China is always the gold standard for the math and the high scores, But they're talking about the Scandinavian countries is the holistic approach. So where it'd be, the China and Singapore specifically would spend a lot of after school tuition on academics. The Scandinavian countries, or at least it was a few years back, was more about, no, you got to do your extracurricular, sport, your music, your community
you have
stuff.
To learn, you used to have to be classical, learn a classical instrument or whatever. That's why, I listen to a lot of, heavy metal and stuff out of that area. But, you get heavy metal bands that have violins in them, because the lead singer's playing violin since they were 4.
Right.
What do our kids get? The recorder that you can play with your nose.
Triangle.
Yeah.
I mastered that too, yeah.
So, it's a very different approach, but they also have shorter work, the requirements are less. You might have a 6-hour workday, but you're not expected to stay back and finish your work.
Yeah.
You just, whatever you get done, you get done.
Yeah.
That's why their teaching satisfaction level is so high.
Yeah.
They're not forced to do a 10-hour workday but get paid for 6. It's a very different setting.
let's get off the international scale. We'll come back to the pros for shortening the school term. What are we looking at? I think it's something in terms of teacher wellbeing. It's definitely going to lower the amount of burnout, I think.
Yeah, teacher retention. It will definitely, the younger teachers, the teachers who are,
still yet to be fortified in education, under the sword.
Yeah, but they're the ones that they love to travel and things like that. They're going to be able to do a bit more of that. And if they can do the things that they like to do, they will stay in teaching for longer, because their work-life balance is better.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying everyone who's a teacher is going to take that extra week and then go on a holiday overseas. But lots of them might do some housework. They might go camping with their kids. They might, lots of other things.
To work on their podcast.
Yeah, work on your podcast, mate. Yeah. Lots of other things.
Controversial, well, not controversial, but I think I was sort of two minds about helping student wellbeing. I was thinking maybe sort of upper school students where their study does amplify in those last couple of years.
Yeah.
But then I think also, how does that affect the curriculum? And I think it's, especially high school math, the curriculum's so packed. From year 7 to year 12, if you miss a week, what's that going to look like across in terms of catching up?
But also, does that curriculum need to change? Do you need to learn all those things? So I look at it like, I've got young kids, and an 11-week term absolutely killed my middle child.
Yeah.
So we were dragging her out of bed. She was having tantrums. She was carrying on, not because she doesn't do that, but she was so tired.
Yeah.
Trying. She's also the youngest in the year.
Yeah.
She's trying.
Just hang on day by day.
And they keep it together at school. Most parents will know that they keep it together at school. The teacher will say, "Oh, your child's so lovely."
And they come home and they're safe.
And they come home where they feel comfortable, and they just let it all out.
Different child.
That happens more and more if you have a longer term. It also happens when you have a shorter term, because teachers are rushing to get everything done, and the kids get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So if you do get a balance, it would benefit kids, young people, students, whatever you want to call them, and adults at the same time. I would say, well, what happens to the parents who aren't teachers and their kids are now at home one extra day? So that would be that's another thing to think about. But
so let's jump into the cons now. I think you're right. I mean, so what is that? I know as having two young kids now, and we're looking at childcare and stuff. You know, if I'm at home that extra day, you're trying to do work, it's hard when you're trying to manage your own kids as well.
Yep.
And then you put them in daycare. How does that work in terms of money and stuff? Also, your holiday supervision, stuff like that for the people who, you know, aren't teachers. Some
people, they've got to take their kids to work in the school holidays because they have no one to look after their kids. And, you know, like if you do that for an extra week every term, I could imagine a lot of employers would probably be like, can you stop bringing your kids here? We've got stuff to do.
Kid is so annoying.
Yeah. Why are they crying all the time?
So much crying. So much crying.
But, you know, like if you did one extra, you know, 4 days, a day off, the teachers who have kids would most likely take their kids out of daycare that day or out of OSH or out of whatever care.
Yep.
And then the people who don't have someone to look after their kids, then that frees up a space for them. So there's pros and cons even to a con, but just give it a shot. You know, like all those countries that are working 4 days, EAs are looking at doing 4-day work weeks. You know, like there's a big push. The research is out there saying that it's very beneficial for mental health, very beneficial for family life, very beneficial for productivity. Why give it a shot?
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work,
just
go back to what we've been doing for the last 150 years of education. But it might work, and we might get kids who are no longer distracted in class on their phones looking at TikTok because they've only got a 30-minute lesson. So things are fast, things are quick.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. There needs to be something. So look, in this particular situation with this school, and in Western Australia, the Education Minister did reject it. I tried to find the detail behind it, but couldn't find a heap. So let's just speculate some ideas here.
Heaven forbid something changes the education system.
And again, we're not saying this definitely was the reasons for, but yeah, I mean, I think if you look, especially if it was like not just an individual school, but the whole public system, the amount of logistics behind that and changing everything could be pretty hardcore.
But you've also got, you know, like if you are at school who is a primary school you're a Diana Rigg school.
What's that?
Oh, it's like a, you know, resources, finance, things like that.
Right.
Everything's based on a 10-week term. All your resources are 10 weeks because that's the system. It's been the system for so long. So I could imagine if you do high school maths program or primary one, Gem and M, you know, whatever the high school version of that is, or maybe that is a high school version, I don't know. Again, I think there's like 80 lessons, but they're chunked in 10. So everything we buy as resource-wise is also based on 10 weeks because that's how it's been for so long. But I don't know if people have noticed. Things have changed a little bit.
Things have changed.
just a smidge.
Things have changed.
So seeing as though all of the children are in school all of the time, maybe we should change with a little bit of reform in the school to see if it works society-wise.
Yeah, and I think absolutely. I think it'd be interesting if you say, dude, a 5-7 year period and see if it does actually improve education.
I'm happy. I will put my hand up.
Myself and Matthew will volunteer for this. We can do this.
I'll be a trial. You can ask me any question you want.
Keep a diary every day.
Yep. We can do this every day.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, a vlog.
Could be a vlog. Helping education and branching outside hustle, Matthew. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think I personally, I'm for it. I think there needs to be something around working with the amount of time teachers are at school.
Or even keep it 5 days and just change them to 30-minute lessons anyway, and just have a little bit more break time in your day where kids can play games, build rapport with teachers, you know, do something. Something's got to change. I think 4 days and working from home sounds a great way to start, but you know, but it all comes down to timetable, rostering, and the willingness to try.
So there you have it, team. Myself and Matthew pushing the 4-day week. Anyone out there is listening to us, we appreciate it. Like always, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.